Every single day, we're relying on these massive steel structures. The metro we jump on to get to work, the bridges we drive across without a second thought, the train stations connecting our cities, they're literally the backbone of our modern world. And they're out there, day in and day out, getting battered by the elements. But have you ever really stopped to wonder, seriously, how do they do it? How do these colossal structures just stand there, so solid, year after year, against all that relentless wind and rain, keeping us safe without ever skipping a beat? Well, turns out there's a pretty powerful secret behind their strength, an invisible guardian at work.
All right, so let's get right into it and uncover that secret. We're going to pull back the curtain on the technology that acts as this incredible, invisible shield for our entire city.
The answer, it's a process called hot dip galvanizing. Now I know it's not exactly a household name, but this one technology is the real invisible hero that's responsible for the amazing resilience of all that infrastructure we depend on. So, what is this stuff anyway? How does this one process take perfectly ordinary steel and turn it into some kind of super resilient building material? Let's break it down. Okay, so at its core, hot dip galvanizing is all about coating steel with a layer of zinc. But listen, this isn't just like a coat of paint. The steel is literally dipped into molten liquid zinc, and that heat creates this powerful metallurgical bond. They fuse together, creating this incredibly tough, inseparable shield that keeps the steel from corroding. The best way to think about it is like a custom-made metal protective suit for the steel. It's a suit of armor. This zinc suit physically blocks the two things that cause rust, that's air and water, from ever touching the steel. By stopping that contact, it just shuts down the whole corrosion process before it can even think about starting. The best way to really understand the impact of hot dip galvanizing isn't just to talk about the science behind it. We gotta see it in action, out in the wild. So let's take a look at 3 major projects that are quietly protecting all of us, every single day. First up, the Taichung Metro's Wensin Line. This is a perfect example of a super complex city transit system where, let's be honest, structural failure is just not an option. Think about it. For a system that's carrying thousands and thousands of people every day, the long-term stability of that steel framework is everything. It's priority number 1. Hot dip galvanizing makes sure the whole structure can fight off that constant exposure to the weather, giving every single commuter a safe and reliable ride. All right, next let's talk about the Zhejiang Bridge. Bridges are basically the arteries of our transportation system, right? And keeping them durable is absolutely critical for keeping our communities connected. So for a vital traffic hub like this one, galvanizing just massively extends the bridge's lifespan. It guarantees that the structure stays solid and dependable through decades of whatever weather gets thrown at it. And that means regional traffic keeps flowing smoothly and, most importantly, safely. And for our third example, we're talking about the Taiwan high-speed rail station in Yunlin. Now, this is a major national gateway, so a station like this needs the absolute highest standard of protection for its huge steel structures. So here, using hot dip galvanizing gives it this top-tier, long-lasting protection. It makes sure the station is totally safe structurally and works exactly as it should. But it also represents something bigger, It shows a deep commitment to building high-quality public projects that are really, truly made to last. Okay, so we've seen how it works, and we've seen where it's used, but let's connect all these engineering examples back to our daily lives. Why does this invisible technology actually matter so much to all of us? Well, it really all boils down to 2 huge things. First, public safety and trust. When the steel skeletons of our bridges and stations are properly shielded from rust, the structures are just fundamentally more stable. And that invisible strength, that's the foundation of our trust in public safety. And second, it saves a ton of public money. Galvanized steel lasts way, way longer, which means less maintenance, fewer expensive repairs, and we don't have to replace things as often. That saves taxpayers a fortune in the long run. When you put it all together, it really gives you a whole new way of looking at the world around you. It's about seeing the hidden intelligence and the foresight that really goes into building a safe and stable society for all of us. And that brings us right to the main takeaway here. Hot dip galvanizing might not be famous, but as we've seen with the Taichung Metro, the Zhejiang Bridge, and the Yunlin HSR station, it is truly an indispensable, invisible hero that's quietly protecting our cities and our lives. So the next time you're out, maybe walking across a steel bridge or just waiting for a train, take a second and really look at the structure. Knowing what you know now about that invisible shield that's protecting it, what different scenery will you see?